Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another insane edition of Paradigm Shift and Educational Comedy. I am the unshaven, disorganized Dave Kelso. haven't really, I've just got stuff to say, and it's like, should I shave and clean up and do this and do everything all proper, or do I just go on live as I am and the hell with it, whatever? So, kind of picked option number two. Anyway, um, I've just been kind of looking out at the world lately, taking the pulse of humanity, as it were. And one thing that I've been very happy to see, actually, that's kind of been becoming more and more of a thing, is people are getting less and less afraid of pointing out the elephants in the room, as it were. And they're doing it in like less and less triggered ways, if you know what I mean. They're not like, going in like a batshit rage about how abhorrent they think something is or whatever. And we're kind of calming down a bit more, some people anyway, um, and kind of working through their own emotional and psychological stuff and kind of figuring out how to express their points in a way that has less people's eyes glossing over when people watch their videos, which I think is pretty cool. So I want to cover just a few of these things that I've noticed, and bring up a few things of my own. And I excuse me. I'd really like to do this in way less than an hour if I can help it here. So I'm doing my best to keep an eye on the time. And I also just want to acknowledge ahead of time, because yeah, I like to do these, this little precursor that I do to the actual topic, so that people can know what this is and isn't going to be about, and how it is and isn't going to go, so that they can make up their minds as to whether or not they feel this video is even worth their time to watch, or whether or not they should be like, bye, because everybody's got the right to decide that. So anybody who is easily offended by someone just simply pointing out an elephant in the room, anybody who, as soon as they disagree with someone, is like, oh my god, they are so hateful and so bigoted and so prejudiced and so whatever for having the audacity to hold a different perspective than me, roar, triggered. And by the way, that sort of reaction, the left and the right both do it, and even a few centrist here. So just letting you know, like, that wasn't like any kind of specific poke or nudge at the left or anything. That was kind of a poke and nudge at any human watching, that if they have any self-awareness at all and can, admit to themselves that, yeah, maybe they get a little triggered when someone has differing points of view, that maybe they can decide whether or not they're in the mood to risk it, and allowing them that free will choice of continuing the video or shutting it down. Also, in this video, there are some specific people and things and whatever I'm going to mention. So I just want to clarify that when I mention the things that I'm going to mention, it's not a diss on anybody. That's another one of those dichotomies. Like, if you dare to mention somebody and you dare to say, well, I don't really agree with what they did there, and here's why I disagree. Oh my god, you're dissing on them. You're a hater. Oh my god, shut up. You're such a no. Just simply disagreeing with somebody in and of itself is not being a hater. And yes, again, all sides, points of the political spectrum, I've seen them all react that way. They're all kind of just as retarded in that way. So again, not taking a political side. It's not a poke at the left, because I've also noticed that when I talk about a lot of these things in these sorts of ways, the right will be like, oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, Dave's poking at them snowflakes again. And yeah, sometimes I do poke at the snowflakes, but not all the time. And then the left will be like, oh my God, Dave's calling us snowflakes again. And well, sometimes I do call them snowflakes. But most of the time, I'm really making fun of both the right and the left collectively as one unit. And both sides tend to not get that. But that's okay. They are what they are. I don't really expect the majority of anyone on the left or the right to even acknowledge the existence that of any points of view that aren't absolute extremes, because they don't know how to process any other forms of data. When somebody doesn't know how to process any other forms of data, then from their perspective, no other forms of data could possibly exist, and therefore, if anybody claims that they exist from their perspective, it's like trying to tell them that the tooth fairy's real. So, I understand their reactions, so that's fine, whatever. Can't really hold it against them, as Cryan likes to say, and they don't know what they don't know. So anyway, first thing straight out the gate today, as I look at my computer, first thing that pops up is a very well done video by someone by the name of Missa Misso. She's a YouTuber, and she does a really good video on the topic of nice guys. And if you want to see what she said about that, I welcome you to, do a YouTube search, MISSA space MISSA, Missa. And the title again, Nice Guys. And she was very well spoken on that. And I would like to read you the comment that I put on there. Again, I'm not going to play her video. If you want to watch her video, go watch it. But I'm going to read you the comment I put on it. I said, you make valid points, and this whole nice guy thing is a not like I can talk today, is a dichotomy that annoys me as well. So as a male, I'm going to toss in my perspective, and people can agree, disagree, take it or leave it, whatever. Totally fine by me, regardless of how people feel about this, as it is their right to think and feel however they wish. Don't just tell the UK government that, or you might be sharing a cell with Count Dankula. And yeah, this chick's in the UK, so hence the comment. Anyways, I feel that the whole nice versus not nice thing is a dichotomy. Geez, why can't I say the word dichotomy today? Like asking the marital status of the number 5. I think that with niceness, I think that niceness, when genuine, is a good thing. When it is not genuine, that is when it gets overkilled. That's when it's virtue signaling. That's when nice becomes like adding too much sugar into a cake and eating one piece makes you want to vomit. I'm a firm believer in authenticity rather than niceness. When an authentic guy is being nice, it is not overkill because he's not virtue signaling based on fear of rejection, based in abandonment issues. The main issue that I have as an authentic guy is that while females desire to be fully accepted in all moods and moments and to be loved for their perfectly imperfect humanity, as anyone else understandably would, because people tend to want to be understood with a refusal to be understanding, the female basically places psychological projections over the guy based on her past experiences. This means that the guy's expressions are being mangled through a paradigm filter and are not being received for what they actually are. So when the female responds back with the whole "how dare you" sort of attitude, as she explains exactly what she feels the guy is doing terribly wrong, And she is completely unaware that she is doing the exact same thing to him that she utterly hates when it's done to her. She's telling him who he can and can't be, telling him who he supposedly is and is not, and is not at all open to understanding who he actually is. Whether this happens within the realm of friendship or romance, this is an abusive, narcissistic relationship in either case. In most cases, it is nice girls, in quotes, who act like this. A nice guy then feels like a victim and does the exact same shit she is doing, and both the guy and the girl, unknown to either of them, have just officially become massive hypocrites. As an authentic guy, when I'm having projections vomited onto me, I respectfully explain the dichotomy to her while doing my best to avoid making her feel attacked, while simultaneously drawing my boundaries, which state exactly how and why I'm not going to put up with narcissistic bullshit. I affirm that yes, she has the right to view me however she wishes, whether it's a projection or not. And that as an American and believer in freedom and liberty, I support her right to think and feel however she wants, regardless of whether or not those thoughts and feelings are based on accurate data or whether or not she is merely reacting based on trauma she has suffered in the past. Again, don't tell UK government this. Oh crap, admit the truth and end up in the slammer. So, an authentic guy who actually respects women does his best to find a balance between showing respect and showing her that he's not willing to put up with bullshit. If he has any hope of teaching her how to draw boundaries without being narcissistic, then no amount of preaching to her about it will accomplish this. He needs to be a living, observable example of what that looks like. Otherwise, all of his efforts are wasted. An authentic guy will by default contradict most women's beliefs, plural, about men. So when she is faced with the proverbial flying pink elephant that by her rules for reality shouldn't exist, and okay, it looks like somebody's responding to me on something there. What is? Check into that later. Okay, just lost my place there. Where was I? Okay, I'll just begin at this. An authentic guy will by default contradict most women's beliefs about men. So when she is faced with the proverbial flying pink elephant that by her rules for reality shouldn't exist, and her brain does a blue screen of death, then she is put at a choice point. She can either become curious and investigate what just happened and why, or she can run as far away from that situation as possible because the cognitive dissonance is too much for her to handle. I have had to learn to respect a girl's right to have both reactions. So that's been my experience and my take. I used to be one of those nice guys in the past until I learned that it was nothing but a bunch of insecure virtue signaling. I had to check myself, figure out exactly who the hell I am as a person, and decide who I want to be as a person, and then be that authentically. Because fake it till you make it is a failed strategy, and that's what the nice guys, excuse me, and that's what the cliche nice guys and girls are. And the interesting timing on that little bit of interruption with the status message that popped up in my face there. I was reading the first part of it, and I'm guessing, synchronicity being what it is, that it is most likely a reply to the reply that I was just reading you. And it started off with words to the effect of that the reply I gave is too wordy. See, that's another dichotomy. In my opinion, most humans, especially these days, are so fucking dumbed down. They not only don't know how to have a conversation, um, they have a complete intolerance for any real conversations. They think that, hi, sup, what's up, yo, dude, hey, hello, Yo, what's up? So how's it hanging? Yeah, lol. They think that's a conversation. Um, that is being a poster child for the movie Idiocracy. That's what that is. That is not a fucking conversation. A conversation is a sharing of thoughts and ideas. It is discussion. By default of that, wordiness is um, not only implied, but it is tantamount. Okay? If you're having an actual real discussion, a real conversation with someone, there's going to be words and there's going to be lots of them. And if that's not cool with you, then don't try to talk to people who are actually trying to have conversations. Get the fuck out. You don't like having conversations? Well, nobody's trying to force you at gunpoint to have a conversation with anybody. So just like these aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along, man. Move along. You know, as simple as that. I personally just think that most people like to bitch just for the sake of bitching because that's the addiction they're into, and that's also why it can also be very challenging for anybody to to express themselves these days because when a person who's trying to express themselves has not yet reached the point of realizing that some people just aren't happy unless they just aren't happy, and well, fuck them, they're going to just be the way they are, and there's nothing you can do about it. Before someone reaches that point, it can be really debilitating for them because they're like, man, I shouldn't bother getting up and saying anything about anything because I'm going to get barraged with all these comments of like, shut up, no one wants to hear it, or it's too wordy, or this or that, or blah blah blah. Well, here's my prerogative on it. So what if you get those kind of comments? Like, really, so what? It's like, who cares? Quality over quantity. Um, the way I view it, if this completely insane world actually approved of me, that is when I would check myself into the mental hospital, because that is when I would really know that there was something like genuinely fucked up and wrong with me, to like levels that seriously need to be like looked into for my own safety and the safety of others. So yeah, that's when I would check myself into the wacky home. If the world actually thought like, hey, Dave Kelso, you're the epitome of whatever humans should be. We love everything you're saying, everything you're doing. Planet Earth loves you. It's like, well, wait a minute. Planet Earth's batshit insane right now. If they love me, there's something seriously fucked up. So, yeah. So, anybody who is afraid to just be themselves, to be authentic, going back to authenticity, I mean, you just have to accept the fact that, like, if you're authentic, you're not going to fit in this world. You're just not. So, get that realization, just accept it inside of you right now. We live in a world of fakeness, of plasticness, of apathy, of narcissism, of virtue signaling, and of assholes, because it's an addiction. That's not even being negative. That's just the truth. I mean, look around, man. Look at how people act in any elementary school, in any high school, any college, any work environment, any nightclub, for Christ's sake. I mean, pick your environment, online or offline. This is just how people are right now, because we live in a world of grown-ass children. We don't actually live in a world of adults. Adulthood has become a state of extended adolescence, and, over time, people just get better, and, they just perfect being toddlers. I mean, they do three better than a 3-year-old could. So, yeah, I mean, I think the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to just be at peace with this truth and be authentic anyway. So that way, at least all the other people who have also decided to be at peace with this truth and be authentic anyway, at least they'll see you and you'll see them, and you'll all know that you're not alone. Because obviously, you'll all be acting differently from the brainwashed herd, the dumbed down masses, the well intended virtue signalers. who have paved this big wide road to hell. And now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying most people are evil or anything. In fact, I think most people are good. I think most people are well intended. I think that most virtue signaling comes from a platform of being well intended. I think that Antifa thinks that they're the saviors of the damn planet. They're well intended. I think any fascists that might actually be on the alt right, they think they're well intended saviors, just like Hitler thought he was a well intended savior, and so on and so forth. I don't think most people wake up in the morning and go, I'm just an evil badass. I just want to go out and see how much evil I could do today, because that's just the thing. No, I don't think most people are like that, save for maybe a few exceptions to the rule that are just so, like, maybe they got hit by a shovel too many times, have brain damage or something. I don't know, but most people aren't like that. Most people have a deep desire to be good and to do good, in my opinion. And that desire, combined with trauma and insecurity and an addiction to bloodlust and suffering and all of this, that most people don't even know that they have this addiction. It's been so subversive. Think of it as like a fish in water. If you could talk to a fish, and if a fish could talk, and you tried to explain water to them, they wouldn't get it. They'd look around and be like, what's this water stuff you're talking about? There's that rock over there. There's some seaweed. There's that other school of fish over there, whatever. But this water stuff, I don't know what you mean. What's with this water? And the only way to show them what water is to pull them above the water line so that they can see what water isn't. And then it's like, oh, yeah. So that's where I am on that. Now, moving further into the before mentioned observations, there is yet another really awesome video called Violating the NAP All Over Thought Slime. Excuse me. All Over Thought Slimes Antifa video. And this was a collaboration video between 3 people. And I think it was really well done. And here is why I think it is really well done. Because even though, their video was, a direct response to a video made by someone on the left who supports Antifa or allegedly supports Antifa, maybe that person just doesn't support anybody. It's just being a troll and trying to stir up chaos for chaos sake. Who knows? But presumably, they support Antifa. And even though the video is directed at a video that person made, one thing I absolutely love about this video is that it holds accountability to both the alt-right and the alt-left. And it's pointing out that, look, both the alt-right and the alt-left are equally batshit insane. They were saying things like, if it ever were to be open season on fascists, I can't really tell the difference between the fascists and Antifa, because the extreme left and the extreme right are both equally insane. On the extreme right, anything left of righter than right to them, from their perspective, is alt-left. And to the alt-left, anything right of more left than left is alt-right. So it's like, regular, for lack of a better way of saying it, classical or modern conservatives, classical or modern liberals, just slightly left of center, just slightly right of center, slightly left of center, anything that isn't the two polarized absolute extremes. It's like in the minds of the alt-right and the alt-left, nothing else can exist. These, any other options can't exist. So you've got actual real liberals getting very quick reality checks that, oh shit, the alt-left is actually representing the left, and the alt-right is actually representing the right, because the real left and the real life right haven't been doing anything about it. It's the implied law of implied consent. The idea that if you're sitting there at a table in a restaurant, and you have a cup of coffee, and someone comes and grabs up your coffee, and you don't protest, you don't say anything about it, you don't say, hey, give me back my coffee, then you just gave them implied consent, like you consented for them to take it. So similarly, when the fake extreme left comes up and tries to represent the left as a whole, and the real left is so oblivious to this that they don't say anything. They don't say, hey, those guys are posers, get out of there. Then that is implied consent from the real left to let the fake left represent them. And of course, the same thing is happening on the right. And the real right and the real left don't even consciously realize they're doing it until all of a sudden the left gets so subdivided. The right gets so subdivided. You've got leftists screwing over leftists, and you've got, righties screwing over righties. And then, it comes into this, this big, massive wake-up call, reality check. Like, oh shit, maybe this isn't a conspiracy theory. Maybe there is all this crazy, narcissistic, subdivision and tomfuckery, and maybe the world is going incredibly, exponentially batshit insane, and that isn't just an internet meme where someone's just posting, "Hi, the world's going batshit crazy today." That no, that's not just someone just saying that on the internet. Like, that is actually really happening. So it's interesting to see more and more people's awareness, and I'm seeing people from the real right and the real left and centrists finally just kind of coming up and calling bullshit on both sides and saying, hey, liberalism ain't what it used to be. Conservatism ain't what it used to be. The whole thing's tomfuckery, and the world's going to hell in a handbag. So it's like, that's not even being negative. That's just truth. It's not trying to be pessimistic. I mean, yeah, the dark is a permission slip to shine. Shine your light in the dark. Just because there's dark doesn't mean you should go, oh, woe is me. It's all over. I'm poor little me. Fuck it. I'm just gonna give up. No. That's when it's time to stand up and be counted. Stand up and be heard. Shine your light. Be brave. So on and so forth. Now, moving on to the next thing. Another topic. Another phenomenon that that I've seen that's been kind of common, and I've been experiencing it as well, is basically like-minded people basically triggering the shit out of each other. And I don't mean like snowflake triggerly puff triggered. I mean, I'm not meaning it in that way. But just like-minded people at this point in human history, they're not used to each other. They're not really used to dealing with each other. They're used to mostly dealing with the non-like-minded. They're used to that opposition. They're used to dealing with opposition. Kind of like how, a girl who's used to dealing with nothing but assholes, they only know how to react to guys in one particular way, because they're not used to any other type of guy. So if they encounter any other type of guy that's different, well, you see the chaos that can possibly ensue. So right now, like-minded people are in the process of learning how to get used to each other. So yeah, it's like I said, they are becoming more open to the idea of speaking up and being like, hey, here I am, this is what I think, and whatever, and whoever doesn't like it, fuck it, whatever. Some people just aren't happy unless they just aren't happy. But then as more of them do that, and they start to find each other, they start to interact with each other, then there's the whole being triggered by what they're not used to. I made a Facebook post on this not too ago. Let me just scroll back. Alrighty, the definition of triggered: when any human, regardless of political orientation, is confronted by information that contradicts their view of reality, causing a reaction of feeling emotionally and psychologically unsettled. These reactions can range from mild to extreme and anywhere else between mild and extreme. When a conservative is triggered, they blame the power elites instead of realizing that the power elites are merely a symptom of the human condition and an inevitable and resulting consequence of our collective apathy, as no tyranny may rule without the consent of the governed. When a liberal is triggered, they either go into one extreme of anything they don't like is a delusional conspiracy theory, or they bounce to the other that, though most things are allegedly delusional conspiracy theories, that there is one or two supreme powers that are to blame for everything, be it the patriarchy or the Russians or whatever. When a centrist is triggered, it is a failure to accept that there is nothing wrong with the fact that they simply aren't going to fit in anywhere ever. Their job isn't to fit in. Their job is to pioneer new paradigms. Fitting in would be antithetical to this endeavor. So, especially pointed at the centrists, although not exclusively pointing at them, but largely. In a lot of ways, they tend to get more triggered than anybody. And hell, this is me speaking as a centrist, but not triggered in like that quote unquote snowflake way, but more like not at all being used to dealing with like-minded people. And like I'm going to give one example here. Well, I'm going to give a few examples. Like, all right, there's a lot of people on DeviantArt, for example. Love that site. Been on that site for a long time. They like to post stuff online. They like to express themselves in text and in pictures and this, that, and the other. And, they say, oh, yeah, I'd love to get on live streams, do this, have conversations and whatever. But when push comes to shove, the vast majority of them kind of chicken out. And, I've experienced this phenomenon before with many of them. They're like, yeah, I'd love to get up and talk. I'm like, okay, well, I've got a platform. You can come on and talk if you want. Oh, I'd love to do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. But let's do that kind of ends up being this like forever eternal thing because they can't muster up the courage to make that leap. It's like, it doesn't mean they don't want to. It doesn't mean they were like leading me on or something. It doesn't mean they were lying to me. They were being completely honest, but simultaneously true is they don't feel that they can muster up the courage to make the leap to actually doing it because they're not used to the like-minded. They're just not. They know completely well how to deal with it when someone attacks them. They can do that like a boss. But just like having a discussion with the like-minded and, God forbid, voice, the closest thing to in-person human interaction that can be had in a digital environment, like, oh, triggered. So yeah, that is very common. And also, for example, some of these like more, for lack of a better way of saying it, semi-popular YouTubers, like not like hundreds of thousands of subscribers or like the really big super huge channels, but I mean like anywhere between like 2,000 and 25,000 subscribers, somewhere in there, like not super ultra, but just within that lower ranks. They're not under 1,000 subscribers like my channel. They're not a very small channel like my channel. They are they're a decent sized channel, but not like super overwhelmingly huge. I've seen that a lot of people who run these types of channels they tend to be kind of torn between two worlds. And just some examples of that, like you've got Magog of Morskar, the beard bearing, people like that, just as examples of in between channels, to where they're not like super ultra huge, but at the same time they're not tied in either. It's this weird in between place, right? So it's like they're torn between two worlds. They want to still resonate, with the smaller channels. They still want to give the smaller channels a leg up. They still want to help them out. But at the same time, when they are approached by people who have channels that are, a bit bigger than they are, um, because society has taught us that, like, yeah, if someone bigger in that respect approaches us, that's representative of fame and success and so on and so forth. And well, money don't grow on trees, and got to put food on the table somehow, and da di da di da di da. It tends to be a battle in people's heads, like sticking to one's principles or going in a different direction. And it can be an interesting tug of war to watch, because like for example, and I don't mean this as a diss, what I'm about to say, I'm not in any way trying to be disrespectful. I'm not complaining. Whatever, people have the full right to do what the fuck ever they want on their channels, with their channels, whatever. Not a complaint. So I've got Magaga Morskar on Skype, right? Him and I've talked back and forth a little bit. He's a cool guy. Not going to say otherwise. He's a funny comedian, and he's also going, through his stuff. The financial stuff he's going through, and he's also going through school and this, that, and the other. He's explained this on his live streams. If you want to know more information, you can watch his live streams. None of this is exactly a state secret. So back in January, him and I are text chatting back and forth on Skype, and a long story short, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to come on a PSEC stream, and, we're going to have you on a Magog stream sometime. And, probably February, we'll get to that, so on and so forth. And February comes and goes. He's non-responsive on Skype. And it's not like he's been too busy to have live streams or participate in other people's live streams or whatever. It's the typical mentality of, he's got his particular clique, which is fine. I'm not complaining. He's got his particular clique, his particular circles. And most of the time when people have a particular clique, if you're on the outside of that clique, forget it. Even if the clique in general is generally like nice people, they're not like attacking people or causing trouble or whatever. And it's generally a nice group of people. And even if you're a generally nice person and you approach and they're nice to you, they don't say or do anything bad to you, and you're nice back to them. And even if they say, hey, yeah, come join us sometime, we'll give you an invite, you're still on the outside. So guess what? That invite is probably never going to come. They mean well. They meant it when they said it. So, like, I personally feel that when Magog told me that, he meant it at the time. And just, I think, upon further reflection on Magog's part, he's just like, nah, for whatever his reasons. And he just doesn't feel obligated to say, I changed my mind, whatever. And he's not obligated. He ain't obligated to shit, honestly. I mean, if we want to be really honest about it and look at what freedom and liberty actually is, like, he's got no obligations to me. And I think it's really, stupid when people get ultra upset by this stuff. Also, at the same time, just me being a person who is a huge fan of authenticity, I think that the more authentic thing to do would be to, say, I know I said that, we could do this. However, I thought about it for a while, and I really don't think that you and your channel really mesh as well with my platform. I've just kind of been doing some thinking, looking around at your stuff, and I really don't think that you have enough to bring to the table. And it's kind of similar to like how if a producer is running auditions for a movie, right? You've got all these different actors and actresses and whatever the part is, and they're all auditioning for this part or these parts. Only one person's going to get picked for that part, and it doesn't mean that the producer is like hating on everybody else that doesn't get picked. It's just a simple matter of the person or people that got picked for the part or parts. They were picked because, the people doing the movie felt that those were the people best suited for that part. Period. It's nothing personal. It's just show business, as they say. And it's not meant as any sort of hate or attack on anybody who didn't get picked. So, like, I completely recognize that. Like, the reason that Magog didn't get back to me, in my opinion, is on further examination. He probably felt that me and my platform didn't, mesh as well as he would like with him and his platform. Therefore, he does not want to be advertised on my platform, and he does not want me on his. Now, maybe he's just doing the nice guy thing because he is a nice guy. He his character Magog, he is this, otherworldly asshole wizard that is up in his wizard tower, and just his primary mission in life is to be an asshole and find a way through the portal to conquer our world. But obviously, that's just a character. The human earthly person who plays Magog, is actually just a really cool, nice, considerate guy. And, a lot of really nice, cool, considerate guys will be thinking, man, I don't want to let the other person down. I don't want to go back to the other person and say I changed my mind. I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to be put in that position. Maybe if I'm just quiet for long enough, they'll go away. Maybe then I won't have to deal with it. And unfortunately, that is how a lot of nice guys deal. And I used to be one of those types of nice guys, quote unquote, before I learned how to just be an authentic guy. And yeah, so I get it. So on one hand, and I'm just saying this just for people in general watching this, like, moral of the story sort of shit is like, I would encourage people to be authentic. Yeah, you have your full right to just be like, fuck it, whatever, I don't know anybody, anything, da-da-da-da-da. That's fine. You have the right to that. But I think that being authentic really goes a lot farther, in my opinion. Being willing to just politely state the truth. And knowing that if somebody reacts badly to it, that's on them. That's not on you. I mean, you did your best to be polite, respectful about it. They just didn't like what you were saying. They got butthurt over it, and that's not on you. You totally did the best that you could. It's not on you. So yeah, many wonderful, interesting lessons that humanity is learning right now. Oh, it is so incredibly interesting. So yeah, I would, as a final suggestion, because it would be wise for me to wrap up this live stream at this point, I think I can't really think of much else to say. I've gone over some of the basic dichotomy stuff. Is within that intention to move more towards authenticity, just learn to be at peace with certain things. Like, the only thing in this life you can control is yourself. That's it. Buck stops there. The only thing you can control is you. You can't control other people. Just accept this reality. Be at peace with it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to approve of it. You don't have to want it. But just, it's kind of like being at peace with gravity. It is what it is, whether you like it or not. And you can defy it straight off a cliff if you want, but gravity's still going to have its way with you. So that's all being at peace is. It's ending conflict, especially the internal conflict in one's mind. Just being at peace with, okay, there's shit that I can't change. There's shit that I can't control. It is what it is. Thing number 2 to be at peace with, some people just aren't happy, unless they just aren't happy. Don't use that as a permission slip to become a miserable fucker yourself. Just accept that, hey, some people just aren't happy unless they just aren't happy. That doesn't mean that I've got to be that type of person. That doesn't mean that I have to get all, offended and worked up when when one of those sorts of people approaches me. I don't, as the old saying goes, don't try to argue with fools. They'll just bring you down to their level and then beat you with experience. So yeah, just be at peace with the fact that that is what that is. Also, the people, at the risk of sounding too esoteric, the people that you're going to align with naturally, the most easily, the most cohesively, are the people that you resonate with the most, or whatever words you want to use to describe that idea. Birds of a feather flock together, great minds think alike, whatever. So basically, Those who are able to be in camaraderie with you. I mean, again, despite the fact that I said that, yeah, like-minded people trigger the shit out of each other, and they do. Um, Once they get through that cognitive dissonance, it is still a fact that it's easier to resonate with a like-minded person than a non-like-minded person. It's easier to have a more civil, mature, rational conversation with a like-minded person. It's easier to work on projects and actually get them completed successfully with people who are more like-minded and who have also worked through enough of their cognitive dissonance, as long as you also have as well, than somebody who's totally not like-minded and you're trying to collaborate with them and it just doesn't work. It's like square peg, round hole, doesn't work. So be at peace with that. And instead of trying to get the non-like-minded to work with you and deal with things the way you'd prefer, look around and see who already rolls with your flow. And if you don't see anybody, treat it like a bus. Wait for it. It'll come eventually. So yeah, that's all I really have to say on that for the moment. So hopefully all of this has been, well, at the very least entertaining, at the most informative. And again, please check out the videos that I recommended. And also a reminder, our channel and many others, especially because of the whole YouTube purge, political correctness, tomfuckery, and all that, I'm on Steemit. I'm on BitChute. I'm on DTube, although DTube is rather malfunctioning for me lately, but I'm sure they'll sort that out eventually. I'm on Dailymotion. I'm on DeviantArt, so on and so forth. I am on all sorts of other different platforms other than YouTube. So please do feel free to watch, follow, subscribe, whatever, to me on the other platforms that I'm on. If you like my stuff, and also if you're into Discord, Discord's pretty awesome. If you enjoy bouncing around on Discord servers and talking to people on Discord, I am a part of a really awesome Discord server called No Party System. And it's pretty cool. Got people from the left, people from the right, centrists, people who have realized that, hey, you know, the whole dick wag of extremes is stupid. So, well, we're all just done with that. And we're just going to learn to cooperate with each other. And we're not going to do that shit. So it's a really cool Discord server. Just go to https://discord.gg/ oh, I so love saying this, /pimpwash. That is spelled PMPW4SH. So no party system, discord.gg/pimpwash. When you've got a dirty pimp and he needs to be washed, Pimpwash is the Discord solution. So discord.gg/pimpwash, PMPW4SH. And if you're doing that in your browser and it gives you the little error, unable to add to server, check the Discord application itself. You'll probably see that the server's been added. So yeah, discord.gg/pimpwash, PMPW4SH. And yeah, then instead of just, you know, watching these videos and getting annoyed and triggered, I can annoy and trigger you in a Discord, you know, voice chat, you know, little group chat on there on the No Party System Discord server. So if you're glutton for punishment and want me to annoy and trigger the shit out of you, head on over to No Party System. If you're not scared away by the weird of Dave, come on down. It's a party. Peace out.